Hi, this is Gina Lazenby. Welcome to my video blog. I'm here in Sydney and I'm with Wayne Grogan, who is an award-winning author of, was it crime novels?
Crime novels, literary fiction, poetry.
Well, I connected with Wayne through a friend, and she told me that you've written a book about a fiction story based on something I found really surprising, and that was Australia has the highest level of rape in the developed world.
In the Western world,
in the Western world.
Highest incidence per capita of rape in the Western world. It's a little known fact.
Well, I was shocked.
Yeah, I've known this for a while. It actually, there's some fairly concrete facts as to how that's so. Australia, as you know, being an English woman, Gina, was a prison yard for your country with a great imbalance, 11 to 1 men to women.
Wow.
And a lot of the women were made concubines by the military class that was ruling them. It generated a lot of women were a threat to the free settled women out here, but more particularly were deemed class traitors by the male convicts for, going off with the oppressors. And there was a real settled feeling that women had let men down.
Wow. And that was 200 years ago, as this social engineering experiment, as you called it in your book, started. And what you're saying is that I kind of still, there's a foundation for today's culture?
I think it's something that would take a long time to erode away. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you'd like to think things are improving, things get better. But it was a fundamental flaw in the engineering of this country. And, these things go deep. Circumstances of space, the Antipodes compared to the back streets of Dublin and London, conspired against women too, in that they were always viewed as objects of desire on horizons. And rape itself, as I've come to understand in research and interviews with psychologists and general court reports, is a power stroke anger driven activity. And to me there's a real dovetailing of the social circumstances and the aggravation men felt against women, or misplaced though it was, that resulted in these underlying attitudes and the terrible consequences.
Well, it's interesting about the culture here, because each time I've come to Australia, I've read about domestic violence. I kind of assumed it was something in certain cultures. And then reading in The Australian a couple of weeks ago about a more recent campaign really to tackle domestic violence, and a man who was leading a conversation about this talked about how in Victoria, the state of Victoria, the I think women in the grouping between 30-45, domestic violence was the #1 leading cause of death, which was unbelievable. And there was an article with a woman who was a professional woman, had her own business. For 15 years she was very much abused by her husband. So what he was saying was, it wasn't a case of because of poverty or alcohol problems. At the core of it was sexism. It was a deep, that exists for some in the culture, of a way of having frustration and control over women and their power being eroded. And I was quite shocked when I read that. And I thought, well, what is it about the culture here that could feed that?
Yeah, well, that to me is plausible, given where I've been steeping my head in research recently. A sense of aggression towards women, that women, are coming from a position of less than, that they've defaulted in the contract with men historically in this country, and who can gauge how these attitudes percolate and rise up and inform people's behaviour? But obviously they do when you look at the stats of the incidence of rape, and the circumstances of Australia, the wide open spaces, the opportunity, the external opportunities have been there, and it's a bad mix, but the facts are in, that's how it's played out.
So this research, this finding out that Australia had this high level of rape among Western countries, got you in an inquiry about how that might be, and then you did this research. Why did you choose to write this up as a fiction and not write about it as a report?
Well, I thought it might be a better way to dramatise the reality of it. I mean, this is something that has existed in academic papers for some time, and I thought it would be
buried in academic papers.
Buried, yeah. It's because everybody that I've spoken to, nobody knows. Oh, really? They said. I can't really.
Since you told me.
So I thought it would be best to dramatise it, and I've written it in the first person as a rapist who's trying to redeem himself. And I think that the idea of that is to portray the attitudes towards women that I've absorbed over time as a male in male companies that might indicate these underlying attitudes that give rise to this kind of behaviour.
It's about power and dominion over in the extreme way, isn't it?
Yeah, and being excited by
that concept.
And perhaps, as one academic I interviewed said, it's a retaking of power for somebody that it's been removed from. And that, to me, really dovetailed with the Australian macro story of the convict imbalance and, the feeling among the assembly of men that women had let men down, and that they were in the wrong and were to be, punished when opportunities came. And I think that's,
Wow. Well, I look forward. It's the final stages now. Is the book?
It is. We're into the argy-bargy about where the commas go now. So it won't be long.
Well, I look forward to reading it.
Yeah.
Great. What's it called?
A History of Misogyny.
A History of Misogyny. Wow. Great. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I look forward to reading it. I'll read it on my Kindle when it comes out. You're doing it as an iBook, are you?
It is both, yeah. Be hard copy and e-book. Yeah.
Great. Well, I'll post here how you can find out about Wayne's book, and really, it's worth exploring this conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Further, and seeing what it is behind, society in Australia now that's made it different, and how we can change that.
Sure. Yeah, no, it is a surprising reality. One worth writing a book about, I thought.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with it.
Thanks very much, Gina.
Thanks for watching the blog, and go to the website and have a look at Wayne Groves.